Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for joining this second webinar, quarterly webinar of RWE and AI interest group of HTI. I'm Masoud Tusi, and along with my colleagues, I'm happy to moderate this workshop. So first of all, let me very briefly introduce you to our interest group. Actually, we have, this is our executive team. And I myself, I'm Masoud Tusi. I'm leading pharmacoepidemiology and drug safety studies in IQVIA, and I'm a medical doctor, PhD in medical informatics and pharmacoepidemiology. And I've been working with different entities like EMA and UNITA in the past, and I'm happy to be there. My colleagues, I think Elena and Lorena are here. Elena, would you like to present yourself?
Yes, very briefly. So I'm Elena Pitelos. I'm co-chairing with Dimitra Ligri under Masoud leaderships in the relatively newly formed interest group. Public health specialist retrained from oncology, many years in R&D, in the last 4 years pure academia, and I'm teaching evidence-based medicine, evidence-informed policy. And I'm also the vice president for HTA at the European Public Health Association. And then there are different, the European Medicines Agency policy, newly formed group as of February, and in many different other things. Special interest is AI for the past couple of years. And I think if people are interested, we have mini bios in our page. So if you see something that you think is of interest in our bios or our publications, please let us know. We're more than happy to provide information. I do think Dimitra is joining, by the way, and Lorena, but...
Perfect, yes. So Dimitra, do you want to present yourself?
So can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Hello, I'm Dimitra Ligri. I'm participating in this group under Masoud leadership, as Elena said. I'm a lawyer, a practitioner. I'm also a GDPR expert with a specific interest in AI and new technologies. Very happy to participate in this group. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dimitra. And Lorena, please.
Hello. So I am Lorena Pozzo. I am a medical physicist, and I work here in Brazil in the institute for research in nuclear and energy areas. And here I am leading a group, the group for health technology assessment, and we have a big interest in this part of health technology applied that use in artificial intelligence in nuclear medicine, radiotherapy, and these kind of areas.
Thank you very much. And I don't know if Yota is on the call. Maybe Yota can also present herself.
I don't think so, because we did speak earlier.
Okay.
I don't know. I think she's transitioning a trial from Europe to China, but I don't think so. But perhaps...
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So, okay, so this in these quarterly meetings, generally we do a brief introduction of our interest group, but because we had just last week our annual business meeting, and also 1 week before that we had also our annual educational workshop, and we went through the details of our interest group, I just summarized this in one slide here. So our interest group has been created last year. The mandate is for 3 years, and it goes until 2023. Our mission is to change the dynamics regarding real-world evidence and artificial intelligence generation, appraisal, and use in HTA. And our objective is to provide a network for education, communication, collaboration, and thought leadership among our members. And of course, in our remits, we try to work as a forum and catalyst for change. and also to provide a education to people and training to people who are interested in these topics, and also facilitate capacity building and access to resources and tools. And these quarterly webinars are in line with those objectives, of course, and the remits. And I'm very honored to present you our presenters today. Professor Americo Cicchetti and Dr. Sine Dahlberg. Professor Cicchetti is the director of the Advanced School of Health Economics and Management at Università Cattolica del Sacro Cuore in Rome and the treasurer of HTAI. Moreover, he is chief of research of the Health Technology Assessment Unit in a Gemelli University Hospital. He is founder and past president of the Italian Society of Health Technology Assessment. He was also a member of the steering committee of UNETA projects in 2006 to 2008, and he's now leading an Italian associated partner of the UNETA collaboration since 2009. Americo Cicchetti is member of the editorial board of the International Journal of Technology Assessment in Healthcare and of the Italian Journal of Public Health. Dr. Sine Dahlberg is the AI unit leader and a senior researcher at the Advanced School of Health Economics and Management, the Università Cattolica del Sacro Cuore in Rome, Italy. She holds a PhD degree in health and medical science from the University of Copenhagen, with a background in clinical epidemiology and social inequality in health. She is a health technology assessment and artificial intelligence expert and has priorly been working for the Italian National Center for Health Technology Assessment at the National Health Institute in Rome. Sine is an expert, evaluator, and reviewer for the European Commissions since 2015 and has been the work package leader of the evaluation of several European projects. Currently, she is leading the assessment of an AI-supported screening tool for dementia risk in people affected by mild cognitive impairment, which is being developed as part of the European project AI Mind. And we are going to listen to Americo and Sine about this project in a few minutes. Thank you very much, Americo and Sine. Thank you for having accepted our invitation for presenting, and thank you for being with us. So I will stop sharing my screen and invite you, Americo, to share your screen, please.
Thank you very much at first for this kind invitation. I'm very happy to be here with all of you, and thanks to the leading group of this very interesting subgroup dedicated to real-world evidence and artificial intelligence, and trying to understand the application of HTA logic in this field. This is for us the occasion to present our group here at Altems. Altems, as has been said, is part of the Università Cattolica del Sacro Cuore. Is a joint effort of two different faculties, the Faculty of Economics and the Faculty of Medicine. So our professors and researchers are coming from very different backgrounds. So we have people with, of course, public health background, clinical background, but also economical management background and technical background too. And the unit, the AI unit, has been established actually a few months ago here within Altems. Altems is providing postgraduate education, and we are active in different research fields in healthcare management and healthcare economics, and also we have historical laboratory dedicated to HTA. But we have realized that artificial intelligence supported health technologies will be one pillar for our future, and we had decided to invest in this field, trying to bring together different competencies. We have at the moment a small research group, but quite articulated, because Sine that has been presented as a more scientific background. Then there is Rossella Di Bidino, that is a statistician, Fabrizio Ferrara, that is an engineer, and Michele Basile, that is an health economist, is applying his competencies for economic evaluations, and this is the small group that is trying to learn at first, and then to apply what we are trying to capture from all around the world, to arrive to identify an appropriate at first methodology to assess health technologies that are supported by artificial intelligence. Our aim, the mission of this unit is of course to conduct and promote assessments of artificial intelligence supported health technologies, but also to support the use and to understand which kind of use we can do of artificial intelligence solution in hospital management and the optimization of healthcare processes. And this is thanks to the collaboration with the Policlinico Gemelli University Hospital, that is part of Università Cattolica, of our university. And of course, in doing that, we are very keen to develop new projects and collaborations at local, national, and international level. Of course, we are developing some competencies also to be applied in consultancy projects dedicated to hospitals and other healthcare organizations, pharmaceutical companies, or health technology manufacturers, and also governmental institutions. We have some areas of research that we are prioritizing. At first, as I said, our aim is to develop methodologies to assess those healthcare technologies that are supported by artificial intelligence, and this is a part of our activity. And on the other side, the second research area is the application and the exploitation of artificial intelligence solutions to optimize healthcare processes, mainly in hospitals. So how artificial intelligence can be in medicine a support for hospital management. These are the two major pillars of our activity, and within within the first branch of our research, our aims are to develop, of course, an HTA model that is targeted to AI healthcare supported technologies. The idea is to outline also methodologies for an economic evaluation, and also for accelerate the economic evaluation of artificial intelligence applied in health technologies. And the idea, of course, is to understand also the implication of the application of artificial intelligence technologies in the changing of the roles and the competencies of healthcare professionals, how these technologies can influence the organizational structures, how it is possible to make AI models applied in a specific context to be transferred in other contexts, and also this among the let's say the aims is also to help change, to find models, solution to support the real digital transformation of healthcare organizations. And also we are our aim is also to develop appropriate methodologies to assess the legal, ethical, but also social implications of the introduction of AI supported health technologies. As I said, on the other side, we are going to focus on hospital management and operations and the use of AI technologies to support hospital management. We are focusing some, potential objectives, and we are discussing with colleagues of the hospital to develop some initial projects in terms of, for example, predicting trends and improve processes, the optimization of the flow of and the admission of patients, the optimization of the use of operating theaters, the improvement of the availability, and so the optimization of the use of beds, starting to the understanding of the characteristics of patients that are are admitted through our huge emergency room. A first attempt was to apply an artificial intelligence model in order to reschedule elective surgery in the light of COVID-19. As in many other hospitals around the world, the typical surgical activities has been reduced due to the COVID-19 outbreak, and in collaboration with Policlinico Gemelli, we're trying to develop a model that is based on the experience that we have done during these months. Actually, among the as a sort of bridge between these two major research branches, we would like also to understand what is going on in Italian hospitals, but not only actually, regarding the implementation of AI solutions to support management of Italian hospitals. Here, we have our healthcare system is characterized by a huge variability in the different 21 regions that are in which the healthcare system is structured, and we really are learning huge differences in the investment in terms of IT infrastructures, ICT use, and so on. What we know that in Italy, but as in many other countries, there is a lack of integration in data flow and data systems, and so we are in the phase of launching this survey that would like to understand which is the gap in the use of artificial intelligence and ICT in healthcare, and which kind of risk are under the non-equal availability of these technological solutions in our hospitals, and so also which is the impact in terms of inequality of access for patient to the services. A few slides just to give you some some elements regarding this survey. It will be a national survey. There are tailored questions to be sent to hospital management, IT departments, and healthcare professionals. Will be supported by an awareness campaign with a media partner that has been selected. We will have 2 waves. The first one in September, mainly dedicated to the analysis of the development of ICT solutions and the nature of ICT solutions for hospital management, and the second one fully dedicated to the diffusion of artificial intelligence solutions. The survey structure has 7 different sections. We are going to survey the hospital contextual factors, so the description of the size, the type, the major characteristics of the hospitals, the readiness, the availability of data to apply AI solutions, the present use, how Italian hospitals are using artificial intelligence technologies, where, how, why, which is the technology uptake, who at what level are involved in the decision-making process, how we are using AI to decide. The barriers and enablers would be very interesting to, of course, design the future and to implement this kind of technologies. For each of these areas, we have, a very detailed list of questions, but I'm not going to, enter in the details. Again, we are interested to understand what is going on, which is the present use, which is the purpose of the use of artificial intelligence technologies. If some medical specialties are more interested in using these solutions, where are the data? So which is the data source, in which the stage of development these projects are moving, and so on. What is important also is to try to understand which is the involvement of different managerial position in the technology update, and probably most important is to understand which are the barriers and enablers, and for the future. Yes,
Americo, we have a question here.
Yes, sure.
There's a question: could you give any example of AI technologies?
I mean, we have we consider an AI technology a technology that is supported by an algorithm that is helping decision making, and these technologies that we are mentioning can be applied for clinical practice. So, for example, an application that is leading the surgeon in combination of the use of, for example, of robotic surgery, or another example is just a software that can help towards the use of the development of an algorithm to make prediction about for example, the time of discharge of patients when they are entering in our emergency room. So, as you can understand, there is a broad application of this word concept, but probably the best thing is just to wait a few minutes, because Sine is going to provide an example of one artificial intelligence supported health technology that we are developing in this European project in which we are involved. I'm just going to really finish in a couple of minutes, but please interrupt me if there are other questions. Of course, we are interested to understand how these hospitals will implement this kind of solution, which kind of solution they're interested in terms of implementation, which are the type, the specialties, and so on. But actually, and also this is my final slide, our interest is to have a very strong and robust tool. So we are here also to ask your participation, your collaboration, in order to at first validate the survey. We are ready to circulate the actual draft of the survey, and also to this is the occasion to understand if there are researchers and healthcare professionals, institutions willing to join our effort and to replicate the survey in other countries or regions. So thanks a lot for your kind attention, and now I leave immediately the floor to Sinead Auberg, that is going to present the example on which we are working on in this moment, thanks to a European project that is funded by the European Commission. Thanks a lot. I'm going to stop my sharing. Okay, great.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Americo. Sina, stage is yours.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello? Yes. Okay, I just need to just give me 1 second to find the right buttons here. Okay. Well, thank you also for me for inviting us here today at this RWE quarterly meeting. We have been very excited and prepared for this. So I'm just gonna get right to it. Now I can just more see me than my slides. So 1 second. I need to see if I can take myself away here. Okay, sorry for this. So today I'm going to be talking about this very ambitious European project called AI Mind, which is a project that sets out to develop an AI-supported technology for early diagnosis of dementia in people with mild cognitive impairment. I'm going to be focusing on the role of Atoms, the AI unit, in this project, which is to develop a HCA framework. I'm also going to be describing how we're going to be developing this framework, and also how we're going to be using early HTA in the development and in the implementation phase. Lastly, I also have an invitation for you, and maybe if there's time, we can have some discussion about the development of this framework. So last year, just before the first lockdown of the COVID-19, we were contacted by Professor Ira Haraldsen from Oslo University Hospital in Norway regarding this, if we would like to participate in this European project about developing a tool for early detection of dementia. And they were asking if we would be part of developing the HTA and also a HTA framework for assessing this tool that was going to be developed over this 5-year project. And of course, we were very happy to accept, and we started writing the proposal. By October, I think it was, we got the very pleasant news that we had been selected by the Commission, our project. And so by March this year, we could finally start this adventure together for the next 5 years, where we're both going to be developing the tool. Well, that's not me, but another team are, and then we are going to be developing the framework to assess this tool when it's finally developed. So just before I start, I want to make sure that everyone knows what mild cognitive impairment is. So mild cognitive impairment, or MCI, is a condition in which individual demonstrates cognitive impairment with minimal impairment of instrumental activity of daily living. And MCI can be the first cognitive sign of dementia. This means that the person is maybe experiencing some memory loss or confusion, but they can still function at home. They can dress themselves, they can eat, they can interact, they can do most activities as normal. But they have maybe noticed themselves, or maybe a family member has noticed that there are some cognitive changes in the person. Throughout the world, it's about 50 million people who is affected by dementia, and this is expected to twofold within the next 20 years. In Europe alone, we have 10 million people who's affected by mild cognitive impairment, and it is expected that about 50% of these is going to go on and develop dementia later on. So in this slide here, in the top of the slide, you see a traditional or typical diagnostic pathway for a patient who is experiencing some symptoms of mild cognitive impairment. So the patient goes to the physician with the symptoms, who is then going to be performing some tests. So an MRI scan, for example, and also some classical neuropsychological testing. And within 5 to 8 weeks, it will be confirmed whether or not this patient has MCI. If it's confirmed, then they will go on to monitoring the patient for the next years by maybe giving yearly checkups on the patient. It is not something that is going to be treated at this point, but just followed and monitored. If the patient within the next years will start developing more severe symptoms, a further investigation would be done, where more testing would be done, and in order to confirm whether or not this is actually dementia. And this would take about 2 to 5 years. So within 2 to 5 years, the patient will develop, probably go on and developing dementia. But 50% of them, sorry. And at this point, you will start to do some interventions. But this would be late intervention, so they have already been decreasing their cognitive abilities over the last years. So in the bottom part of this slide, you see the diagnostic pathway that we are developing within the AI Mind. So the first step is the same. The patient comes to the physician with symptoms of mild cognitive impairment, and the physician also does do the same testing, do MRI scan, test the neuropsychological testing and so on, but also do some more blood examinations and some other examinations. They're going to do a EEG recording of the scalp to measure the brain activity. And all of this information is going to be collected in the AI Mind connector, which is the first tool. This tool is going to be processing all this information and sending it on to the AI Mind predictor that will then give an estimation of the risk of developing dementia. So this means that all of this will take only 1 week, where in the traditional diagnostic pathway, it takes up to 5 years to reach this stage. So within a week, you will know your risk of developing dementia later on. This also means that we can start early interventions, such as lifestyle changes, dietary changes, physical activity, cognitive training, maybe also some medication, drugs, and so on, that will help to push forward the onset of the disease. It's important to say here that you cannot treat and you cannot prevent dementia, but you can move the onset so the patient can maybe have 5-10 more years in a relatively good functioning state before the dementia takes over or starts to initiate. So the task of ATOMS in this project, as I said before, is to develop or to perform a health technology assessment and to facilitate the implementation of in order to facilitate the implementation of the AI Mind tool in the healthcare sector. So by providing evidence-based information to healthcare policy decision makers about the process. So this task is divided into three tasks. So the first task we're going to be doing, which is what we're working on now, is to develop a framework for HTA of the AI Mind tool based on relevant HTA domains that has been specified in the UNETA core model, which is the one we're using. We're also going to be working on early HTA, where we will be doing a model of the potential health impact of cost effectiveness in the healthcare system of early prediction of dementia in subjects with mild cognitive impairment. So a predicting of the impact of this tool before it's developed. And lastly, we're going to be doing the assessment once the tool is developed based on the framework that we're developing right now. But this is going to be in quite a long time since, as I mentioned, it's a 5-year project, so it's down the road. So we started by brainstorming over the applicability of the 9 domains that we know from the core model. I know you're from all around the world, but this is the most used one in Europe, at least, where you're looking at the health problem, description of the technology, safety, clinical effectiveness, cost and economic evaluations, ethical implications, organizational implications, social and legal aspects of implementing this new technology. So we found that even though all of these domains are highly relevant in relation to artificial intelligence, the topics that are described under each domain is maybe not specific or clearly enough in relation to artificial intelligence. And we wanted to clarify this better. So what issues need to be included under safety and ethical aspects and organization aspects and so on, in order for the model or the domains to be specified artificial intelligence. So here you see some of the issues we came up with in our brainstorming. So for example, how do we assess trustworthiness? Or how do we give value to changes in clinical pathways or changes in patient-doctor relationships? Or what new aspects, as I said before, should be included in safety? Is it, we need to include cybersecurity, accuracy of the algorithm, also risk of including AI biases in the algorithm, what effect would this have, and so on. So there's a whole spectrum of issues that we need to highlight and specify under each domain, and maybe even develop a new domain, I'm not sure yet, in relation to accommodate artificial intelligence technologies in the traditional core model. Also, we have the issue regarding developing algorithms. So it's not a technology that is stable over time. So how do we include this in our assessment? Because normally you have a technology that is developed and you evaluate it, but if this technology keeps evolving and keep developing, when does it count? And if it gets better and better and better, what about the cost effectiveness of it? What about our estimates here? They also keep changing. So there's a lot of issues we need to incorporate in this new framework that we are developing. So we started off with looking at trying to identify what frameworks of digital health solutions are already existing, and to uncover which criteria, domains, topics have been used for the evaluation of diagnostic health technologies. So we started with a systematic literature review, and we included all digital health solutions because we expected that AI or frameworks and models specifically targeted AI would be very rare or few. So we wanted to be a little more broad in our search. We made a search string combining keywords for digital health with keywords for assessment and HTA, and included periods from 2010 to 21. And we also went through the reference list of relevant literature and included extra papers that had not already been found during our literature review. We have also been going over international HTA agencies' web pages to see if they are mentioning models or domains that needs to be included in artificial intelligence. And I can tell you that we found already now in our literature review that reviews already exist on the framework of digital health. And actually the newest we have identified was from 2020. So we are reframing a little bit right now. So instead of, doing this work once more time, which we have almost done, but instead of starting with all the analysis, we will be building on the existing reviews on digital health, and now we will focus only on artificial intelligence and include this on top of the relevant aspects that we find in these reviews that have been done. On top of this, we will be including information from institutional organizations, experts, and relevant interest groups. Here, just show you the work process for developing this HTA framework. So we have been doing the literature review and the web page search. Now we're looking at institutional reports on AI, so from EU, WHO, OECD, where we are going to be extracting the important aspects for decision making in artificial intelligence, or the aspects that are important to assess when assessing whether this artificial intelligence should be recommended to implement. Once we have all of these aspects and have categorized them under the different domains of the UNETA model, and maybe rearrange the domains, I'm not sure, because there are some of the aspects that for sure has not an overlap, but it's difficult to say which domain they belong to. So they are more interrelated, I think, in relation to artificial intelligence, especially when we start with legal and ethical aspects and social aspects. We are going to be developing then a Delphi survey where we're going to include all the relevant domains and topics, and then we're going to invite an expert panel to assess the relevance of the different domains and topics that we have found. And once consensus is reached, we are going to include these domains and topics in our final framework. Just really shortly before I finish, I also mentioned that we were going to be using early HTA in the development and implementation of the technology, where traditional HTA normally looks at technology once it has been developed and implementing. Then early HTA is evaluating the potential value before the clinical study starts. So it can also help direct the development of the project of the technology, but also set some goals for the technology in order for us to understand how accurate do we need to be in order to be cost effectiveness, for example. So in the early, this is not me who's doing the early evaluation. I would like to mention our partner in this, which is Radboud University from the Netherlands, with Tim Govens, who is leading this part. But they are looking at the potential value, as said, of the technology, and they will be starting from the claims of the new technology. So they're looking at, for example, the higher accuracy in diagnosing dementia patients, or also the earlier diagnosis of dementia in patients with MCI. And then they're gonna have some, by their modeling, they're gonna have insights in the potential value. So for example, will it be, if they find that you need to have these are just numbers I'm giving you now, but 87% accuracy, they, in order to be cost effective, they can also model. So what if you are 89% accurate? What potential value, extra value would you then gain from this tool? Or if you cannot reach, it could be some of the it could be that we cannot reach this the threshold. Then how less cost effective will the tool be, and so on. By doing these early HTA evaluations, we will also find and get some insight into what information is needed for the final cost-effective analysis. So, for example, Just a fast example. Right now, I know that they are working on some discrete choice studies on the potential quality of life gain in getting an earlier diagnosis, which is not necessarily something that people want, to be honest, because I mean, we have to remember this is a disease that there's no cure for. So would you rather know that you're going to be developing dementia in the future, or would you rather stay happily unaware of it and then just degenerate slowly, but at least you will maybe not be so focused on it? Because let's face it, there will be a lot of changes, even if you can prevent, or not prevent, but slow down the process. You're going to probably look at yourself differently, but so will your peers for sure also in relation to this disease. So I promised you an invitation. So I would like to invite the ones who are interested in participating in our Delphi survey. I mean, we would really like to get as broad a perspective of these issues. So policymakers, AI specialists, engineers, HTA experts, patient organization, users, clinicians, lawyers, and so on. So we're not only focused on, for example, accuracy or cost effectiveness, but has a more holistic approach in relation to our development of the framework. So I think that was it for me. Thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing from you. You are very welcome to contact us if you have more questions or information that you don't want to share right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Sine and Mariko again. Thank you for the presentation. Now we have a few minutes for potential questions from the audience.
Should I do something? Can you see my screen still, or?
We can't see your screen, but I think if
oh, no, that's good. No, I just wanted to make sure that, okay.
So maybe while the audience is getting prepared to ask questions, I want to ask us a question here about the projects. What are the challenges? Because this is going to be like a rather long project. It's a 5-year project. So what are the challenges that you anticipate in these projects? And what are the kind of challenges that similar projects had so far?
As you say, it's a long project, so for sure we will face a lot of challenges. 5 years is a long time, both for the development, but also for the assessment, of course. But I can say one of the challenges is right now to agree on what should be included in this tool, because, and here I just want to let everyone know, I'm not a medical doctor, so please don't start making too specific questions regarding the different tools that should be included here. But it's not only the experts deciding on what tools should be included, but it's also a matter of making a European tool that most hospitals can participate in. So it's not good if you make a tool that is so highly specialized that you need very specialized techniques or so forth in order to use it, that they don't even have these technologies in the hospitals, and it's only the few who can use it, or only the ones participating in our project because they have purchased it within the framework of the project. So I know now, for example, what I heard from our Dutch partners is they have been asking some institutions, and there are some specialists who is a little bit worried about the EEG measurements, because they say, well, this is not something that we normally use. It's not necessarily difficult, but it has to be very precise. It's like electrodes you put on the head, or some has it more like a cap or something. And it's not something that is normally done everywhere, at least in relation to the diagnosis. And this is worrying them a little bit. So it is where we can find the balance between having technologies so we can have an accuracy that is high enough for this to be worth it to implement, but at the same time not so specialized that it's only the few and the rich or the developer who can participate. That's definitely one of the issues of the project.
If I can add, I think that you know, in this is a very ambitious project, as you can imagine. 5 years, many different partners. If you think about is a parallel development of a tool, so a medical device, in which the clinicians are going to develop a clinical study, collecting data, meanwhile trying to assess the potential impact in terms of economic, social, legal, organizational implication of all of this. Let's say that probably the easiest part is what we are going to run, because for us, I mean, trying to make the assessment, the early assessment, will be based on different simulations, of course, and a collection of data that is coming out little by little. I think also that the level of effectiveness of a technology that is supported by an algorithm that is learning little by little, because inside there is a component of machine learning in this artificial intelligence tool, of course. It's really a challenge, because the key endpoint, the key efficacy, effectiveness endpoint is changing over time. So there are really many different challenges to be faced, but I have to say that the combination of competencies in this project that are clinical, technological, regulatory competencies, and of course HTA are quite broad, and I think that one key element will be also the project management, and if the project management will be strong, it seems to be very strong, I have to say. We can have a reduction of the risk, but the risks in such kind of project are quite high, I have to say.
I know the clinicians, they also worry for, of course, if there is some, I mean, they don't worry for a big breakthrough in medicine. Of course, they will welcome it, but, we are developing this tool, and it's such a long process, so we don't know what is being developed on the side in relation to suddenly in the end, when we are standing with the finished product, and then suddenly you need to include something new, a new technology into the algorithm or the diagnostic process. And also I think one of our worries, of course, is that they will be developing this to the end. So we really have to be prepared with everything that can be assessed beforehand. We need to assess beforehand, so the legal aspects and so on, because we will have very little time in the end to do the actual assessment, because the clinical, we will wait for the clinical trial, of course, and so on, but the results will be ready short time before we have to deliver the project. So we will be busy fingers by the end of the project for sure. Masoud, I think you froze. Okay.
I think he has frozen. So
Yes.
yes, okay, probably a reset. So if I may, I'll step in and ask a question. So this is very interesting, of course, particularly given the number of aging people and prevalence of the disease and so on. For this particular disease, for the last 2-3 years, we've been seeing on causality links emphasis on a genetic component for the telomere size. So this is complex because you're correlating genetic predisposition to many other factors we have seen as predisposing, but with no conclusive evidence. So your tool is looking to correlate genetic data to biomarkers and I mean, different types like homocysteine or whatever, and I don't want to go too technical, or is it looking only at, patients which are exhibiting initial stages or have familial history and so on? And if it's looking at genetic data and so on, are you encountering some challenges in the setup of data? And maybe Dimitra, if she's connected, can ask more on right to be forgotten and so on. Thanks.
Thanks for the question. I can try and start, and then if I'm wrong, Enrico, if you know something else that I don't know, you can step in. But as I understood, for now, we are not doing a genetic testing of people. I mean, these are people who are showing up in the doctor's office with symptoms of dementia, or sorry, of mild cognitive impairment. So that's where the onset of the tool begins. So it's the one that I of course understand that you can also go even further and screen using genetics, which will catch another pool of patients, of course, potential patients. But we are starting at the onset of people who have some mild symptoms of cognitive impairment.
Yep, it's good. Thank you. Yeah, it could also be interesting for biomarkers. Yeah. Masoud, you're back. We lost you for a minute.
Yes, I almost hear it until the end of the discussion, but all of a sudden I wanted to say thank you, and I was kicked out of the meeting, so I'm back. Yeah. So, are there any other questions from the audience or any last-minute questions?
Yes, if I may, Masoud. I would also like to say that it was a very interesting topic, and particularly interesting in my point of view, since I'm a lawyer, and I can see how interesting is legal and ethical approaches. So I would like to ask, how do you elaborate in your tool ethical principles such as and also legal principles such as the right to be forgotten regarding the data that you generate, if you have any results yet, or if it's something that you elaborate to focus on in the future. Thank you very much, and again, thank you very much for those very interesting presentations.
Yeah, Dimitra, I think I can answer that question, because the right to be forgotten, when you have dementia, you will be forgotten. You don't need to worry about that.
Dude, I'm not talking about what
I'm just making it up.
I think he's trying to make a French.
Please, Americo. No, that was just for the last-minute joke.
I think he's trying to make a French joke.
Yeah.
Actually, we have not result at the moment, because now is the phase of designing the HTA methodology to be applied. What we know is that the legal implications are quite relevant, as well as the ethical implications. So we are asking, of course, for collaboration from this point of view. We have some legal competencies, but of course, also the idea is to involve this, and to apply this Delphi approach little by little to, solve all these problems. Because at the end of the day, the development of our HTA model will be the definition of the list of questions to be answered in this case. So we are just starting from the core model of Meta. Little by little, we are going to, domain for domain, rephrase, modify, adapt the questions and the topics, depending by the complexity of these kind of technologies. So it is a double challenge, it's a methodological one, and then a challenge in terms of implementation of the tools. Let's say that at the moment we have clear what is the issue and the problem. We have not the solution yet, but and so the collaboration of this group will be important for us. And so for this reason, we are very happy to be here.
And you are, of course, invited, Dimitra, for participating in our Delphi. We look very much forward to sending it to you.
Thank you very much.
We put things on Twitter, but on the Delphi, if you formulate this as a question, more than happy to share it. We can disseminate, I think. No, Masoud, we can stand inside the list. It would be interesting to see. Also, it would be interesting to see what input you get beyond Europe, if you manage to
Yes.
get for transfer, yeah, it would be interesting, I think, for some colleagues in Asia, perhaps. Yeah.
So
No, but I was also actually, when we were preparing this, the documents I'm putting up is, of course, not of course, but they're all European. So we are, of course, taking base in the European Commission's documents, but I think maybe also for us in Europe, we are maybe more focused on the ethical aspects right now in artificial intelligence. But it would be very interesting, because that doesn't mean that, you know, we can learn something in relation to this from other parts of the world. So very interesting. This is what is so great about this forum, that it's not just European, but worldwide.
we have quite a few questions that have come in from the audience. Masood, are you able to see
Ah,
those?
that's good. Okay.
And very interesting ones.
So let me read the questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bryce, I can't see the questions. Actually, they're not readable to me.
So
In the
I
chatter, can you put them in the chatter? Okay, okay, they are in the chatter.
Can you see the last one now? You should be able.
Question. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
yes, I did place a bunch in the
Yeah,
chat.
so
If any of them
I'm concerned if there is a lack of diversity in the learning examples for machine learning and sets on which algorithms are based. Are there challenges for representativeness in databases and generalizability of algorithms?
I can answer, just using my, the sense and my understanding. I think that there are huge challenges in terms of generalization, but it is an issue that has been discussed, and let's say that at the moment, of course, there is no answer, but it's part of the, let's say, the points to be solved, because kind of solution can be valuable if the algorithm can be applied in different contexts, in different situations. Otherwise, it also be quite useful. Now, it is very interesting. Also, there is a question, if I can, regarding the existence of different initiatives in the application of HTA for artificial intelligence, and how this can be aligned. Actually, this is one of our aim, also using this project to, give a hand, let's say, to support the integration of different groups that are working on this field. One part of the motivation of starting a AI mind unit, an AI HTA unit in Altems, is to promote or to participate with others in all those initiatives that can help to align methodologies in the HTA for artificial intelligence supported health technologies. That is the general definition that should be, clarified and made very, standard in a way. Sooner or later, we need to align, different experiences together. So this is a very important point, in my opinion.
Regarding the transferability, the algorithms, I guess I understood it maybe also more as the training data that we're going to be using for the algorithms now. And I can just say that this project is maybe also for the people outside of Europe, that it's taking part in, I think it's 5 different European countries. So we have Italy, Finland, Norway, yeah, I don't remember. So we will have patient groups from many different European countries, where, of course, we cannot say that this is then valid in all of Europe, but we will be testing the algorithms and their precision in the different countries, and the transferability from country to country also, of course, which is that great opportunity you have when you have many participating countries.
There is also a question that I can see here is regarding, in a way, the design of the clinical study. So if the project will include patients who have received or are receiving any pharmacological treatment. So if there is a control, I assume yes. Of course, we are not following the clinical part, so this is a question that should be answered by our clinical colleagues. But if I remember well during the presentation, the answer is yes. So it's not just a phase 2 study, let's say, in which you are testing the same. There is at least a control for the, let's say, presence of any kind of parallel treatment that can be given to this patient. Of course, everything should be measured taking into account the ethical issue that is typical of such kind of study, because of course, if we foresee that the pharmacological treatment is producing any positive impact, should be done, provided to the patient, of course. But I know that clinicians and also our expert in the for ethical consensus in the study are taking into consideration this problem.
Great. So thank you very much. I know that we are about 10 minutes past time and still people are bearing with us. Great. This shows that there is a lot of interest. I would like to thank you, Americo and Sine, again for your participation in this workshop. Thank you very much also to our audience for having also participated in the discussions, and thanks for your meaningful and insightful questions. I suggest that if you have more questions, you directly reach out to Americo and Sine. I think that also keep the material of this workshop on the website. Thank you also to our team. Thanks, Anna and Lorena and Dimitra for having this happen. And with this, I wish you a nice summer vacation ahead, and wish you good days for you, for your families. And we will meet in Q3 for our third webinar. It will be somewhere around October.
Masoud,
thank you very much.
Masoud, perhaps to mention that the previous quarterly meeting has been recorded, is available, and also this one too, and we can send a message to everyone about this. I don't know, Bryce will send a, but if Americo and Sine gave us the contact that they want for their kind invitation, maybe we put it together with, because there are almost 200 people registered, and given they are about 60 could attend, so we can put all of this together and share just before the summer vacation.
Yes.
Sure.
Very good.
You can give a consent. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.